Welcome to my presentation. The topic is really strange, but I'm sure you'll get to learn and enjoy what I have to talk about here. The general census of what people start to hear when you mention virtual worlds or Second Life is a bunch of whines, moans, and confused sighs about how it's just another tool to either fool people or a roleplay tool, and that nobody ever does anything real within the walls of the game. I'm focusing slightly out of context of this assignment, and by using experiences in my actual online magazine mixed with academic sources and interviews within Second Life, I'll explain exactly how communication in the virtual world has been working. We take a look at the research of where honesty fails in communication. This is responsive looks into how honesty is in Second Life, from my own experience in organizations within companies' virtual world, and from residents that trusted me to interview them, which is exactly it. I spent time in my research with other avatars in the medium of Second Life. One of the biggest answers I found from someone was this: yes, it is easier to be dishonest in a world where people are essentially anonymous, and the only true police force is a corporation driven by more profit margins than a genuine need to improve their meta-society. The onus of honesty falls on the individual. It is up to each person to build a reputation of honesty, to establish themselves as a genuine merchant, rather than someone interested in stealing others' money and deleting the account. There's a big notation of cybercrime across virtual worlds, and not just Second Life. Again, that is another assignment entirely, and you could spend hours presenting that. Honesty in this isn't always transparent, as it says on the slide, and forthcoming is sort of a lack of things as well. You sort of lose mental health and physical health sometimes with the stress that people can give you, and the addictions you can gather with being on here and doing the wrong thing, It's kind of dodgy whether it can be health or not health, but honesty and trust are the two things that should be on here. Things that should not be, now mind you, I'm pretty sure the second advertisement was obviously not exactly an original advertisement. The virtual reality sandwich issue. The first response I got from someone other than me was, that's a two-pronged issue. There's issues with LSL platform itself that most users can't do anything about, and there's interpersonal issues, drama, misunderstandings, etc. Okay, so we have time zones. You have everybody in the world that's allowed to get on a computer and access this place. Cultural differences, this is a problem with both real life and online. Customers don't understand the limits of the Second Life platform. They don't understand the creation limits based on the grid. Age-based limits, that's another question entirely, but it is hard to present product for a wide age level. Other responses, lack of tone of voice is a problem. Especially when you're not using voice. It's difficult to tell when a person is being sarcastic, sincere, or lighthearted. For example, if someone sends you a message, "Thanks a lot for the freebie," it is assured. People sometimes adopt behavior they would not dream of in real life, attacking other people, causing disruption, insulting and belittling others. This miscreant behavior, seemingly for their own amusement, can cause a big, huge problem for others. Communication, of course, now says you can now present your PowerPoint in Second Life. I'm not sure how easily that's going to solve some of these problems, especially since this one says you upload the PPT files rather than the images in separate. I would rather see the images being uploaded once at a time. Bringing this back to the examples of what I do and where I'm dealing with communication in this issue. I, for a few months now, have been trying to get my community's website and magazine into the world of Second Life. And advertising from SL businesses can help me with costs. Now, however, communication is a big issue, and trying to get people to understand where I'm coming from, where this magazine will lead to, is really a big problem. In all essence, many owners don't quite understand the meaning of one person, and seem to wonder why. What is the most effective way to get your communication across in Second Life? Is it voice? Is it group chat? What exactly works? Next slide. Here we go. One of the companies I personally work with in Second Life is the virtual real estate business. Bell Estates is the foremost real estate business in Second Life, dealing with full, half, and homestead sims. Sims are virtual land, and it's one of the largest sorts of businesses around the Second Life. This effective communication example is that when they pay for advertising, Rising Karma Press brings them screenshots, which is me, of every so often of the advertising stats. So 1 month they pay around $5 for an ad. I bring them a screenshot on how well their ads are doing. Any other project that we deal with, we're clear in how we type, as Bella states is not of U.S. entity, and on top of that, English isn't their first language. We also present the information clearly in note cards or IMs. IMs being instant messaging. Effective communication, in these people's opinion, to get the point across is with voice chat live with a customer or seller. However, that isn't always possible. Second to that is live chat, and there also is the most other effective way to communicate in Second Life is to type exactly what you mean to say, and supplement it with cues as your tone of voice. For example, many people add LOL or a smiley face to a sentence to indicate they are joking. On the other hand, the least effective way is to promote your business across multiple groups, as if blindly casting out nets in the dark sea. This tends to be causing you to be reviled as a spammer, and in fact get you banned from others' land groups, and potentially Second Life itself, if enough people complain to Linden Labs. However, there are actual groups for advertising, so that's not necessarily as clear as it should be with that. What else is there? It depends on the crowd you're trying to reach. It really also depends on the shopkeeper, on how they treat the people. It's a little easier to become a big name in a niche market if you're one of a handful catering to a particular product line, but one's customer service skills may sometimes make or break a shop. And also sometimes, again, if you don't have the RL funds to keep things going, or you're not really making enough off things as it is. I guess it just depends. I've had issues. I've tried to make clothing, and I just don't have the mental capacity to always get a whole line started. What are the possible barriers, besides the aforementioned death to honesty, that is? Okay, so we got the pager system looking here. IMs aren't always delivered. IMs and note cards hit the capped limit. Group notice is rarely delivered if you're not in World. Things that are supposed to have contents or notification in the email aren't often sent. Group chats are often lagged, and so on. Unfortunately, these are the limitations to the Second Life platform, and not something everybody can do anything about. There are age-limited grids, whatnot. Let's start on that issue. Teens versus adults. Lydia Lockhart proceeds with, I don't like this issue at all. It was hard enough before, and however now it's impossible to limit adult items to adults. It's far too easy for underage persons to gain access to that they shouldn't. This is because over the years they've removed the age verification system, they've merged the teen and adult grids, and it makes it harder for underage people to actually... I guess the issue of emotional maturity comes up. Like within real life, you can sort of tell between, mental and emotional maturity, but that's not always true. Because in real life, sometimes people have different maturity at different ages. Judging by their own behavior rather than physical cues is an issue with that. You can experience that in real life as well, so that's sort of a hard issue there. Some people don't have feelings at all about this. If you don't need to deal with the adult stuff, it's no big deal. Some people don't have a problem, again, because as long as they're able to be rational and not have a problem, like Sphinx Solil says, unless it's a significantly not safe for work honest thing in an area like that, in which case there are legal issues at play that override whether or not I give a complete crap. They've learned that mental emotional maturity may happen at 13 or may never happen if person is 50 or older. I'm a teenager, but in real life I'm this. Leaves communication and business astray, but the final answer is, if it's not to do with them, if it's not to do with business, then what does it really matter? What do people get up to in their free time isn't a business matter unless the product is to do with them. So basically, in that instance, if you're not over 18 and you're heading around Second Life, just be careful. especially even if you're doing your own, I mean, this is, in a sense, you're not really supposed to do your own business, but some teenagers do their own fashion. When the teen grid was around, you were able to create your own fashion for the teen grid. You were able to do your own thing. So business in Second Life doesn't really matter depending on the age. Just matters for legality reasons, whether you're on an adult grid, sort of adult sim, or doing adult things you shouldn't do. Now, mind you, you can't really get that across to a teenager who doesn't care. Teenagers are always going to do things that you don't want them to do. Aforementioned that most teenagers do things their parents say not to do, like smoke weed, whatnot, get pregnant at 16 when they shouldn't. Now, mind you, that's not everybody. That's a communication issue of I shouldn't be generalizing. Okay, now, and to finally conclude this, relaxation is my sort of biggest key for this. Communication is flowing when you're relaxing, and it means that when you're off duty from business, obviously you're relaxing. Business can be fun. Now, in this instance, the picture is something I took. It's an X-basement. The book called Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, an awesome SL resident named, I can't remember his name, sorry. He created X-basement, in which you have to use your thinking cap to go through a 3-stage puzzle, answering questions like Han shot blank. Now, obviously, that's Han shot first if you're a Star Wars person, but I had to ask a few questions about that. And you find the Jade keys and the Crystal key, obviously, after that. And when you find someplace in the SL that really relaxes you, like you need to in real life, your communication is that more effective. So, I conclude this presentation, and I hope that my point of the different modes and issues of communication in Second Life, not just with myself and my magazine, but with others as well. There's more information that I will add in the report, and that are actually on the slides that will be made available to people, and sort of will be uploaded and emailed as well once this is finished.